So when I mention NFL players and dogfighting, Michael Vick automatically comes to mind. If you don't know about what he did, back in 2007, he was arrested for being the leader in a dogfighting business he had under the name Bad News Kennels, and for 6 years prior to that, he would illegally host dogfights, which are literally like cockfights where both animals fight to the death, and the one that doesn't die unfortunately has to try and not die at a later date until he either dies or is just too injured to fight, to which then they just kill the dog themselves anyways. So it's basically just one fucked up cycle. There is a documentary that ESPN released where he sits down and talks about all this and how he was influenced by the wrong people, and then shows how he redeemed himself after being released from jail, and it was this whole thing that some people still don't forgive him for. Me, I was just waiting for the right time to be able to bust this bad boy out. But I was already in high school by the time that happened, and this doesn't really fit me. But the reason I bring this up is because for years, people thought this was the worst someone can do. I mean, I think they took over 60 dogs from Vick's house. There's even a documentary made about the dogs who were rescued from his house. But this morning, I see that former NFL player LeShon Johnson was just arrested for dogfighting. And this guy makes Michael Vick's operation look like nothing. Like, comparing them would be like comparing your local drug dealer to the cartels who actually import the drugs. Obviously, someone is worse than the other. But if that name doesn't ring a bell, it's because he was a bum. He was so bad that in 1995, you would have had more rushing yards than him not even being in the NFL, because he finished with -2 yards. And then you could have done the same thing the next year, because despite playing in 3 games, he had nothing. He is actually so bad that there is no video of him actually playing. Just pictures. He's like the fucking Loch Ness Monster. He's a myth. His playing career is a myth. But it says last week, LeShon made his first appearance in court since being charged with possessing 190 pit bull type dogs for use in an animal fighting venture and for selling, transporting, and delivering a dog for use in an animal fighting venture. This is believed to be the largest number of dogs ever seized from a single person in a federal dogfighting case. Now remember, like I said, they took just over 60 dogs from Michael Vick, and he had just signed a $130 million contract a couple years prior, so you can imagine how big he could have gotten with everything. But this no-name scrub who last played in 2001 was running an operation 3 times the size of Vick's? That's utterly insane. I don't think you guys understand how many dogs that is. There are some pounds that can't even take in 190 dogs. Count to 190 right now, and I guarantee most of you stop by 20. Be like, why am I doing this? Why did I count? Why am I even doing what this guy asked me to? Like, 190 dogs is an egregious amount of dogs to keep track of, especially when you're fighting them. The neighbors are like, the barking was actually insane, and the smell. But what's crazy about this whole story is that this piece of shit had been arrested and charged and found guilty of dogfighting twice. Once in 2004 and then again in 2005. It says he previously ran Crazy Side Kennels out of Oklahoma, which led to his guilty plea on state animal fighting charges in 2004. Johnson selectively bred champion and grand champion fighting dogs that have respectively won 3 or 5 fights, to produce offspring with fighting traits and abilities desired by him and others for use in dogfights. Johnson marketed and sold stud rights and offsprings from winning fighting dogs to other dogfighters looking to incorporate the Malkant Kennels bloodline in their own dogfighting operations. So this dude was basically the supplier, the middleman, and the dude you buy from. But as you can see, he had a whole system down to the breeding. This dude was running his own dog trafficking ring, but because he was one of the worst running backs to ever touch the field, they're like, there's no way this dude can keep up with this financially. Like, he was arrested in the same state that he was arrested for doing this in. He's like, what better place to do it than the place I call home? And if I'm being honest, just based on the kennel names alone, I would have been like, yeah, these guys are dogfighting. Like, Michael Vick's was Bad News Kennels. It's like he was literally telling you that this place is bad news. We were like, nah, it's bad news with a Z. That means he's cool. He's cool about it. He's black, guys. With the Z, he's cool about it. And this other guy's was Crazy Side Kennels. Look up kennel names in your area, and the ones around here are Kennel Club, Heavenly Pet Resort, Wagville, not fucking Dark Side Demons Kennel Club. Like, the signs were there, but because of who they were, it was initially ignored. But there is some good news that comes out of this, guys. You see, whereas Michael Vick, and yes, I'm a little biased, but Michael Vick got 21 months in prison and had to pay $3.6 million in restitutions. LeShon over here had to only pay $250,000, but is also facing 5 years in jail per dog. And if my math is correct, and that's, let me see. That's like 555 years. Now, I'm pretty sure the laws have changed since Vick was caught, because that's a wild number. I'm also pretty sure they took into account his previous 2 arrests, and they're like, yup, this is the 3rd time. 3 strikes and he's out. But it doesn't even say how long he was doing for. For Vick, it said he was doing this for about 6 years, which led him to grow to the amount of dogs he had. I can only imagine that after the 2nd time of doing this and getting yet another slap on the wrist, LeShon Johnson continued to fight dogs until they're like, hey Chiefs, you know that guy from 20 years ago that was fighting dogs? Yeah, no, he's back in town. Yeah, and down the street, you know, Crack House Kennels? Yeah, that's him. And what's funny is that if you look up pictures of this guy, this one of him with 2 puppies comes up. If only they knew they were in the hands of a literal piece of shit. But yeah, guys, I think someone has officially topped Michael Vick when it comes to being a horrible human being towards dogs. Not that it was a competition, but it's going to be pretty hard to break this asshole's record. Until tomorrow, peace. Shit's so small.